This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia.
Today we're going to answer the question, is it difficult for an American to visit Russia?
Hey Matt, that's a great question. We get that all the time. Actually, the short answer is no, it's not difficult for an American to visit Russia. In 2020 especially, it's fairly easy for an American to get a visa. I mean, that's the only hiccup, right? You have to organize your documents and apply for a visa ahead of time. But you can do it by mail. Other visas to other countries, you may have to go in person. So if you want a visa to Russia, you can just do it by mail, do it from where you are, from your home or office. The only difficulty, I would say, is just organizing ahead of time, planning ahead of time and getting your documents in order so that you can get the visa. But luckily, Americans get a 3-year visa now, a multiple entry visa. So let's say you don't know when you're going to Russia, or you're waiting for a good deal on a flight or whatever. You can get the visa 6 months ahead of time, ahead of your proposed entry date or your visa start date, and you can have 3-month period to go in or out of Russia as you wish on that three-year multiple entry visa. So the process itself is a little bit tricky when you do it for the first time. So I would recommend going with a company like Let's Russia or another company, but it's not.
Well, I think if you don't live in a city where there's a consulate or an embassy, you should probably never even consider doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much that can go wrong, and then the fact that you have to then travel to an embassy or consulate to do it yourself, it's not worth saving $100 for that, honestly.
Yeah, and aside from the visa, I mean, I don't think there are any particular barriers to getting to Russia, apart from kind of just the realization that you're going to Russia and you don't speak Russian. Most visitors don't speak Russian, so I mean that's probably the next difficulty, in that you maybe are apprehensive and you're like, I don't know what to do. It's completely different. But
well, I think I can speak on behalf of both of us and say that most of what we hear about Russia in the West is just not true on the ground. When you get there, people are incredibly friendly. People are always trying to help you, especially as a foreigner. I've had only wonderful experiences in Russia, and almost everyone I've talked to has had exactly the same experiences. I've actually never met a person who said it was so hard to go to Russia and people were terrible and this and that. Most people really enjoy their time in Russia.
Yeah, I would say that nowadays you just download some apps on your smartphone. You have access to a dictionary and a map, and the subway system, and
taxis are all done through an app. I mean,
yeah, so you could
compared to when I went there the first time, it's so much easier.
Yeah. So, are there any other aspects that we may be forgetting as far as like difficulty? I mean, I would say plan ahead, get your visa a good month before your trip minimum. But I guess I've heard one thing that I will mention: getting a domestic flight in Russia could be a little bit tricky, just because if you're going through like an English site, you could be charged a lot more, or like train tickets.
Same with train tickets, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for Russian train tickets, I think actually the Russian railways, they have an English site.
They do.
Quite poor. It's quite poor, and they also don't accept a lot of international cards. But there's a lot of English sites that are essentially resellers, and it's significantly more expensive. So yeah, that's definitely there is a foreigner tax in Russia. Actually, we probably should mention that. But
yeah.
There's a way around it in most situations.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer. My short answer and my long answer to that question. So hope you found that helpful. And if you've had any difficulties visiting Russia as an American or a non-American, do share in the comments.
This was Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from an Expat's Russia. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have a question about Russia, let us know in the comments. We'll answer it in another video.